All right, now that your data from your spreadsheet's ready to go, let's go ahead and paste it in. If you're not quite sure how to do your spreadsheet, check out the video right before this where I show you the best practices on how to set it up to make it a quick and easy cut and paste. But first thing, by default, Airtable sort of gives you these three columns, and for the third one, usually attachments, it's usually not an attachment that we use. So go ahead and either change that to single line text, or just delete it. That works too. But then what we're going to do is come over to the data that we're going to cut and paste. Now you don't need this first row, but I'm going to cut and paste it just to show you something else. So you're going to go ahead and I like to do it from this cell, not from this one, because I like to, you'll see why here in a second. But so I'm going to go ahead and paste all that data in and go ahead and expand the table. This just means it's going to add the rows and columns we need to hold it. And so first thing now that your data is all pasted, is we're going to go ahead and, oh, okay, you know what, actually, we're going to take a list. Okay, so we pasted something in and we realized, oh, you know what, we don't need this particular row. Maybe it's a delegate that, you know, is no longer around, or maybe, you know, it's a, you know, it's, you know, information we don't need. What most people tend to do is highlight that and hit delete. And that sort of deletes the information from that cell. But as you can see, that field is still there. If you want to delete something that's, you know, you're not going to need at all, you need to click this, you know, the checkbox here, and then right click and delete record. And that makes sure the record's gone. If you just delete these, it'll start to mess you up later on. So make sure you go ahead and delete an actual row from here. And you can do multiple at a time too if you need. So in our case, we don't need that. But so then what we're going to do is the data field types. First, you can expand them if you need or whatever. So the data field types. So this is their first name, and I'm just going to type in first. And there's a bunch of different options that you can choose. In this case, single line text is all you need for their first name. Same with last. Single line text is good, and single line text is sort of the default. But in this case, this is their cell phone. And if you kept it as single line text, that's fine, I guess. But when you're using it on the mobile app, if you change it to, let's see, where's phone number? Right here. On the app, we'll see later on in another video, but you can actually just click on it and it'll dial their phone, or you can text message them, you know, from one click. So you don't need to, you know, cut and paste it into your phone. It just boom, right there. Now this one, so this is the different program areas they could potentially be in. What I like to do here is area is do it as a single select. And you can probably go through and look at all the different, you know, options with these. So I'm just going to, you know, kind of pick what we normally do. And what it's going to do is it'll take, in this particular case, everything that's in there and say, okay, we're going to change this from just a single line text into a selectable text. And you can choose to use a colored option or not. But when you save it, it will, it'll, you know, set it up like this. So let's say you go ahead and add another record. For whatever reason you missed a delegate, so whoops, test delegate. So when you come to this, it like gives you the options of, you know, selecting it like that. You know, same thing for if you want, you know, your delegations and email. I'm going to go ahead and just jump ahead here really quick. All right, so now that I sort of have everything, all the columns set up as I like them, the last thing I'm going to show you is, here's what I like to do is, in this case, put the delegate's first and last name as the name of the record. This first column is important in the sense that it's a little more limited on what you can do, and it's what you use to go between different tables and such. So I like to use their first name just to make it easy. We already have their first and last name here. So what I'm going to do is actually just call it name, and I'm going to go down and make it a formula. And if you're familiar with formulas in Excel or Google Sheets, it works very similar. If you're not, there's some more advanced stuff, but I'll show you how to do this one. So basically all we're going to do is our formula is we're going to take the value from the first name field, and then we're going to add a space in quotes, and then we're going to add the value from the last name field. And so what that does when we save that is like, okay, Abigail Lopez is just taking the first name, a space, and the last name and putting it into a single field. So then what we're going to do, oh, you know what? I was supposed to do that in the data paste as I was talking about in a few videos earlier. I accidentally did it in the main tab. So now for the first one, it's not really a big deal, but if you go to paste more data in later, you're going to want to definitely do it from the view that you created to do a data paste in, because when you go back to the spreadsheet to take data again, let's say you added in a few more delegates or whatever, and they're here and you need to add them in. If you add, so we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 columns, and they're in this particular order. So we want to paste in 9 columns in that particular order. So that's why you don't mess with this tab, or this view, excuse me. And then, but in the main view, and this is what we're going to be looking at most of the time, because I have their name in the first field, I don't need their first and last name anymore. Let's say, all right, this ticket, I don't need that. Let's say I do want dietary, and okay, so all the rest of the information there I want. All right, so that's good for, what have we learned? Okay, so we're taking data, we paste it in, we set up our columns with their particular column type, and just adjusted it to make it look nice. So next video we'll look at, like, filtering and grouping and sorting and such.